Hello and welcome to the We Are Teachers Facebook Live page. My name is Trevor Muir, and I'm here to host a conversation about a problem that I think a lot of teachers can relate to, and then a pretty cool solution to that problem. And of course, that problem is fluorescent lighting. I mean, is there a teacher in the world who cannot lament the fact that our classrooms look a lot like a doctor's waiting room or something like that? And so we're going to have a conversation with a teacher named Laura Pucci from Florida. She's a middle school teacher of over 25 years. And pretty recently, she's gotten some really cool advanced technology lighting in her room from this company called Acuity Brands. And they've got this tunable lighting that we've got to hear from Laura about and figure out how can we change the lighting situation in our classrooms. So Laura, thank you for being a part of this conversation. How are you today?
I'm great. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so you've recently, well, let's start off with what your lighting used to be before you've adopted some really awesome stuff in your room. Tell us, what was it like before?
Well, if you can see the bars ahead, I have a large art room, and it was filled with double bulb fluorescent lights. And it was extremely bright and extremely agitating, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you've added this Acuity Brands lighting to your room that we've talked before, and it's just been a game changer. So before you tell me a little bit about that, we'd love to invite everybody out there in the Facebook world to join in on this conversation, because we are well aware that we are not the only teachers who've dealt with some really bad lighting in our classroom. So feel free to join the conversation in the comments section. Before that, why don't we hear a shout out? Where are you watching this conversation or joining this conversation from? Where is everybody out there? So feel free to chime in whenever you'd like. Laura, let's start off. Tell us about Acuity Brands lighting. What's it done for your classroom? What is it?
Well, it's done amazing things for my classroom. I'm an art teacher, so lighting is very important. And we really enjoy the clear, cool lighting. We keep it on the cool setting, but more than that, for myself personally, it's changed my life because I have some serious eye issues. I have glaucoma and trigeminal neuralgia. And so the biggest impact it's had on my students is the impact it's had on me, because I'm still able to be here and teach and be able to get through the day. But I just think it's tremendous technology for the kids as well as for teachers.
Absolutely. You know, it's always interesting to me is you always think about like, oh, what are things going to be like in the future? But sometimes you got to sit back and think like, wait a minute, we are in the future, right? Yeah. Like we've got lighting that you can adjust to whatever mood you're in or whatever students are doing to different tasks.
Yeah.
Why not take advantage of that, right?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And so what are some ways that you use tunable lighting or adjustable lighting in your room?
Well, in our room, if we're doing some detail work, we could turn up the lights to be extremely bright, but they're cool. So that helps a lot. You can also turn the lights down to have them be more warm. And so in a room where you're doing testing, you can make the lights a lot cooler, which helps kids concentrate. And in a situation where there's a little more rambunctious activity, shall I say, you can make the lights warmer. And
Wait. You teach middle school. You don't have any
ever have rambunctious activity, but you can warm the lights. And I'm still learning about all the things that I can do with the adjustments, but we keep the lights on at about, I'm going to say 75% brightness.
Okay.
Because the very bright is very bright, but even at that, it's a soothing, calm light.
Well, so these aren't fluorescents of any kind, right? They're LED, correct?
They're LED lights. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so for the longest time, because I'm a high school teacher, and I've got this really cool setup in my room and art on the walls and books everywhere, and yet we've had this overhead fluorescent lighting that it doesn't feel like it fits the rest of the setting in my classroom. Yeah. And so lately, I haven't gotten to have the Acuity Brands yet, but just from what I've seen in your own room, it's something I definitely want to talk to my principal about. But I've just set up lamps in my room and just adjusted the lighting in that way. And that wasn't even like a huge change, but it's already, you can see the major effect it has on kids.
It does.
The way the room's lit.
Difference. It makes a huge difference. Really
Absolutely. Oh, I'm sorry. We're having a little bit of thing here. I'm curious just out here if people can maybe just chime in on Facebook. What has your lighting story been in your classroom? What's something that you've commonly had to deal with, or do you have any really good solutions that you've come across that you could share with everybody else that's checking this out today or later on in the comments section? So Laura, can you give me, so how long have you had the lighting, first off?
I've had the lighting for about a month. They put it in over the Christmas holidays.
Okay.
So I've had it now. We're on February, what are we, February 8th? I've had it for a month and 8 days.
Do your students notice it? Like, is it something they actively notice?
Oh, extremely. Then they all know how to work it too.
Really? Do you think, would you be able to do a test for us right now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you have any students nearby that can flip the lights?
Turn the lights all the way off. Okay, so this is my room with the lights all the way off. And I do have some windows so I get some natural light.
Okay.
Now I'm going to have them turn on the left-hand light, which is, I've set it to be unadjustable.
Okay.
So that's the left-hand light. Now watch when they turn on the right-hand switch. Go ahead, girls. See how much brighter that got? But that is the switch that I have set to be adjustable. And in about 25 seconds, you're going to see the whole room dim to the level that I have chosen, that I use most often. Even though I can still change it, it's the one I use on a daily basis.
So in a few seconds, we're going to see it.
There it goes.
Okay, so this is at the level that you have determined that you
keep best in,
the kids work best in.
The kids work best in. And before I taught art, I taught Spanish and I taught math. And so in those two subject areas, I would probably adjust it more often depending on testing and time of day.
Okay.
But in art, I don't have to worry as much about testing.
Sure.
And so, but what Acuity Lighting has, the whole program of how to use the lighting to best serve your students and to give them the best, state of mind. It's really about biorhythms and things like that,
Yeah. Well, and that's the whole thing. Like in the morning, you don't want really bright light, right? You want to work your way into the day. And then I'm assuming after lunch, you want to adjust the lighting to that time of day, or during reading time, you probably want to keep it lower, to get a more relaxed feel. Is that how, can you adjust your lighting?
Oh, yes. I can
as
adjust
needed?
Whenever I want. And as a matter of fact, you just mentioned lunch, and lunch, if most middle school teachers will agree that your class after lunch is usually your most rambunctious class. And when you just said that, I thought to myself, boy, I can set that now to be a little warmer after lunch instead of cool. This light that I have on now is on a cool but low setting. That's the one that I like the most as a teacher.
Well, so I would love to have this in my own classroom, but I can't run out to Target and buy it like I bought desk lamps that just aren't bright enough for me, and I can't really adjust. Do you have any tips for how can you fund this kind of thing? Can you write grants?
Well,
how do you make this
kind
kind
of
of
thing happen?
through
a grant and through Lighting for Pupils, they provided a contest, and I actually came in second place, but Hurricane Irma had hit Florida right at the time that the contest started. And one of the representatives for Acuity Lighting in Florida decided to do another grant for the second place person. I'm sure it was just because it was Florida and Hurricane Irma. But, we were hit very hard by that. And community, we all reached out to each other. And this was just a fantastic thing that that Acuity Lighting, and it's Envision Lighting of St. Petersburg, is their representative here in Southwest Florida. So
congratulations for getting it. Well, and it's awesome to know that there's grants out there. And the truth is, teachers, I think if we want these innovations in our classroom, because they're clearly important, that sometimes we just have to go out and ask for them. I found so much in my classroom when I want something, if I know that it's going to benefit my students, whether it's having more books or whether it's having adjustable desks, sometimes you just have to reach out and ask. And so I think it's great if we find grants to research or to apply for, asking the community, Chamber of Commerce, letting them know what the need is. And I think that's a great way how we can all get these type of tunable lighting in our classrooms.
Yeah, and if had Envision Lighting of St. Pete, had they not given me this grant, my intention was to keep applying to every opportunity. And that's really how it happened, because when I came in second, I wrote to Lighting for Pupils, and I said, hey, next time there's an opportunity, I want to know about it. I want to do whatever it takes to get this to happen, because I do know how important it is and how impactful it is in the classroom.
Yeah, where I teach right now, we're kind of going through this big new building phase right now, and you know, lighting isn't something that's talked about a whole lot.
Oh, that's a shame.
Absolutely,
because it will last as long as the building, because obviously you're going to replace the LED bulbs, but the system will be there. So we do all the technology for, you know, teaching and computers. Why shouldn't we be using technology for lighting, and for that matter for all the maintenance issues like air conditioning and
absolutely. Well, especially because we know how impactful it is on students.
Right,
you know,
exactly.
Like I think about, you know, I've got a smart board in my room, an interactive board, and you know, fluorescent lighting, it just creates these glares. Do you have any experience with those type of boards?
Oh yeah, it's terrible. With the smart board, you have this huge, expensive piece of equipment that the kids can't see because the lighting is so bad. Now, you know, I know those have also been updated as well, but the fact of the matter is that the new lighting for those is going to work hand in hand with the new lighting technology that's everywhere. But you know how it is. Schools often get the new technology last.
Yep, absolutely.
But we keep working with what we got, and the fact of the matter is it's great that we have companies like Acuity Brand Lighting that are advocating for this to be in classrooms. That are
like I said a minute ago, we've got all of these amazing technologies to improve what we're doing in the rooms. Let's use them. And you know, and speaking of that, I just, as I'm sitting here thinking about, you know, you've got these students and they're noticing the difference in lighting in your room. Why not tie it into our instruction? Why not create lessons around lighting even, and like how that affects what they do? I think there's a lot of stuff you can do with that. And I know Acuity Brands actually has some lesson plans that they've specifically designed to go along with their lighting. And We Are Teachers is going to post. Yeah, isn't that great?
Yeah,
so We Are Teachers is going to post a link to these free lesson plans in the comment sections of this video, so you can go and check those out and try to figure out how you can maybe incorporate lighting and the science of that into what you're already doing.
And it works very well with art, because light and shadow are very important. And so I'll be doing that.
Absolutely. Yes. So this is a global community on here, and there are a lot of people a part of this conversation. So feel free to keep it going when we're done here. There's a really great article on lighting in the classroom already on We Are Teachers that will link to this video. But feel free to just chime in and give tips, give advice, give grant funding ideas, so we can have more and more of this kind of cool technology that Laura has in her classroom, in all of the classrooms, because what it really comes down to, are we creating the best space for kids to learn and thrive in? So Laura, thank you so much for being a part of this discussion, and good luck trying to figure out how you can do more and more with that lighting in the room.
It's exciting. Thank you so much.
Have a good one.